And that's how you build a multi-agentic system to source vertical signals and segment your market and then reuse it as an asset inside of the company. I just solved the problem that's been driving the go-to-market team in this new scale-up crazy for years. It's about sales signals. The thing about them is that it's easy when they're already packaged up in ZoomInfo, in Apollo, in Clay, these common signals that are ready to access, ready to use. But what happens when your company needs a signal that's so niche, so specific to your vertical that there's no data provider that captures it? So I built something from scratch. This is a multi-agent AI research system that I built in Clay that automatically researches and segments companies based on their actual renewable energy portfolio. It took about a month, 4 different AI agents, and more prompt engineering that I care to admit. We went from having zero visibility on the projects that our prospects had on renewable energy to having detailed project intelligence for as many companies as we wanted. We were able to distill it down from structured data of the capability of a project, the status, the geographic location, their specific role, whether they're a developer, investor, or a competitor that we should avoid, and even specific information we can use like the amount of megawatts that the renewable energy project contains. I was able to run a test sample with 100 companies from our CRM that were manually verified by our salespeople and then run the test. So how this looks like is a bunch of columns that will look overwhelming at first, but basically they aggregate multiple sources of research into a single column. I go from a domain, from a company, a target company, into pulling their sitemap. So I pull all of the URLs that might be relevant, and then I run a first agent that will crawl through that sitemap, and then it'll extract those renewable energy projects into structured data. Right? It'll give me the specifics of where that project was, what is the source, what is the tech type, battery, where is it, does it need a human review, right? Or do we have evidence as well of this project? And in this case, it'll also give us the role of this company, whether it's a consultant, a competitor, etc. This allows us to get that structured data that we can use for sales. When I tried this, just one source was not enough. I had to combine it with a few others. So I also have a Clayagent General Research that does research based on the domain and series of instructions on what to do to gather this information from their websites. I also have Perplexity pulling information. And lastly, I have Exa plugged into Clay via API because they have a researcher that is an AI agent that goes and crawls into the website and pulls as much information as it can with a specific goal. So I send it with that goal of pulling this information and then wait until it is completed and then return the results. And at the end of this, I have projects which might be duplicated. So I have an AI column that merges them all together, makes sure everything's standardized, and gets all of those envelopes, all of those JSONs processed into a single column with usable data. So as you can see here, and this data becomes pillar for our team because that's what we use. Most importantly, this is my favorite part, is the segmentation of our TAM. So we are gonna be able to run this through more than 38,000 companies and actually know if they are part of our TAM, of our service addressable market, or if they are our ideal customer persona through these 3 columns that segment based on tangible data. And that's the difference between this and an AI SDR or an AI qualification column that will do its best to give you a reasoning, but it's not deterministic enough to give you a good segmentation of your market. This gets data aggregated with the use of AI agents to give us concrete and deterministic signals of whether a company is part of our market or not. I'm using this to help the SDRs figure out which companies are relevant for market expansion and Now even the SDRs will be able to understand with this output column that I made, like why is a company part of our TAM, SAM, or ICP, and it's going to be a single source of truth. So now I can pull as many companies I want into this funnel. I know they're going to be processed and segmented, and we can use this for different campaigns. And the coolest thing is I can use Clay to turn that approach into a template and then run it into specific campaigns, like this one that is for an event where I had 300 companies that are going to a certain event and I want to check which are their projects. I can use that for personalization. I use the same approach, and with all of that data, I can now tell AI, hey, give me a specific one-liner that I can use with the most relevant project from all of the research I pull that I can put into a specific campaign. So now we have like this killer personalization line of, I noticed you have X project, so I guess you're interested on renewable energy projects of this type, and this is ready to go into a campaign. And that's how you build a multi-agentic system to source vertical signals and segment your market, and then reuse it as an asset inside of the company. I hope this was useful and it drives some inspiration about the type of things that you can build with Clay and your own go-to-market engineering setups.